Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Well, welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we are back after a little more than a week. We talked about what had been going on with the NHL suspending the season and everything going on in the world in relation to, obviously, the COVID-19 crisis. On this show this week, we're going to try and take, maybe a break from the regular news and lighten up the show a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the updates that the NHL put out. We're going to talk about some playoff scenarios that Eddie and I think the league may do in the future. There's also some other minor league news that we'll cover as well. And we have tons of fan questions and comments and a poll question that's going to be covered. That's a majority of the show. A lot of input from you guys out there, and we appreciate it. And we're going to answer a lot of your questions and talk about some things. And then in our last segment, we'll talk a little bit about some stuff outside in the world, other news going on with other sports and other media and things like that we'll cover. So the format's going to change. It's not always going to be the same, obviously, with the way things are going on right now. But that's kind of the format for this show. So we'll dive into it. The NHL made some announcements this last week about some updates, if you will. They decided to extend the self-quarantine period for another 10 days. It was going to be through March 27th. Now it's going through April 6th. Per TSN's Bob McKenzie, they're looking at different buildings to see where they can replay these games if they do the regular season or whatnot, and the playoffs for the summertime. And they still want to award a Stanley Cup, so we're going to talk about some playoff scenarios as well. And they did decide to postpone, which isn't a surprise, the Combine, the awards show, and the draft. So those are some of the updates, Eddie. Not really any surprises, but I am happy to hear that they are, wanting to award the Stanley Cup this season in some fashion.
Definitely. I think that's one of the most important things that every player looks forward to. If you don't crown a winner, then pretty much last season was played for no reason. All those injuries, all those times they sucked it up and they played hurt. Them giving it them all to, fighting for that last point to make it in hopes of lifting the Stanley Cup. It just all goes down the drain, and we're going to let this epidemic win. Like you said, we have to keep going or try to be as normal as possible. And I think awarding the Stanley Cup should be the #1 priority, obviously besides the health and safety of players, but that should be the #1 priority besides that. Is getting that, crowning a winner, letting someone go and earn that. Who knows what these players are going to do if their family members are sick or, they're probably stuck inside too. I know that granted their houses are a lot bigger than ours, but I mean, they're still going through some stuff too, so it's going to be a good relief to see someone lift the cup and kind of just, I guess like I was joking around, lift the cup and scream out Jumanji, and hopefully all this goes away.
Exactly. And I mean, that's what they're trying to do. Like you said, obviously player safety and health, that's #1. That's why they extended the quarantine period. I'm not going to go into too many details about all that kind of stuff. I know those of you out there are overloaded with this stuff in the news. I'm overloaded with it. Eddie's overloaded with it. And on a side note too, if any of you are having any kind of mental health concerns, Eddie and I, we posted out there, reach out to us. We're more than happy to talk. If you need to vent or whatever, I've already talked to some people, that are having a difficult time, and I totally get it. But with this season, they're going to try to figure it out. They may not have the rest of the regular season, which I want them to, but I don't know if it's feasible or not. So that's one issue. If they don't, then they're talking about the playoffs and how that would work. Some of the ideas they've talked about is having a 16-team format. They've also mentioned maybe having 20 or more teams, basically because if they cut the season short, they don't want to exclude anybody. Everything's up in the air as far as how that would go. As far as the playoff picture, if the season was to end today, just to kind of remind everybody who's where and what, this is what the teams in the playoffs would be today if they said, hey, okay, we're not going to finish the remainder of the games and we're going to go to a 16-team format. So the picture would look like this. In the Western Conference, in the Pacific, you would have Vegas, Edmonton, and Calgary. Central, you would have St. Louis, Colorado, and Dallas. And then your two wild cards would be Winnipeg and Nashville from the Central. In the East and the Atlantic, you'd have Boston, Tampa Bay, and Toronto. In the Metropolitan, you'd have Washington, Philly, and Pittsburgh. And then both wildcards from the Metro, Carolina, and Columbus. So those are kind of the teams, Eddie. What do you think about the playoffs and everything? I'm more of a fan. I want them to finish the season, but if they don't, however that works out, I would want them to go to the 16-team format. I think if they keep it that way, it'd be more simpler, and then maybe just shorten up some of the series, like in the first and second round, maybe have 5-game series instead of 7, and then in the conference finals and the Stanley Cup, they could have a 7-game series.
Yeah, I think that can work. This whole 20-team, 24-team playoff, whatever, no. Hell no, I would not want to see that. Another idea I was thinking about, having the 2 wildcard teams play the 2 teams below them, and a little, 1-game little playoff matchup to see who gets that wildcard spot. I think that'd be fair for the teams that are on the brink of making the playoffs, but this whole adding 20 or 24 teams, that just seems a little excessive, and it's just too much. As far as the 16-team format, yeah, just the top, I guess, 1 through 8 on each side, and then have them play it out. You can just do 5 for the first 2 rounds. The conference final Stanley Cup, do 7 games, and boom, you still get some good hockey, a good amount of hockey. You still get to see who's the better team overall, and the fans get to have fun and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the concern, too, with the owners is the revenue and stuff, so that's why there's debate between them about, hey, we want to have the regular season, we want to finish those games and get that revenue, and then, of course, the playoffs. Some of them may not like the 5-game idea that Eddie and I are talking about for the first couple of rounds because, of course, that also means less money as well. But I think that would be the best way to go because now they've delayed everything, which we're not surprised. We knew they were going to delay the draft and the award show and all these other things. That's not a shocker, right? But if they cut down some of these games in the first 2 rounds, you're potentially cutting out a week or 2 of play in the postseason, which would be good because then it wouldn't delay next season as much, which is another thing that they talked about. They do want to have a full 2021 season. Obviously, that would start later. It would not be in October, of course. It'd probably have to be, I don't know, November, December. So much stuff is in flux right now, but that's something they talked about. They also mentioned, too, for next season, some ideas that have been thrown out there, Eddie, and I kind of like these as well. I mean, it's what they're going to have to do. If they're going to have 82-game season next year, is they've talked about not having the All-Star game, which you and I have talked about how much we love the All-Star game. So I'm pretty sure, for a lot of people, that wouldn't be a big deal. And then they also talked about eliminating the bye weeks as well. So I think those are some things they may have to do. And yes, maybe they'd have to have a couple more back-to-back type scenarios, unfortunately. But if they want to have an 82-game season next year, I think it kind of goes with what we're talking about in the playoffs too, Eddie. I think they have to shorten up the series, if you will, and then maybe that could work it out. What are your thoughts on them trying to do an 82-game season next year?
That's going to be kind of hard. I really hope they can accomplish that. It just seems like it's going to be too many games in too little time, and that wouldn't be fair to the players. Also, as far as canceling the All-Star game, yeah, I'm definitely with that. Let's go ahead and do that. The bye weeks, too, I'm not really a fan of because we don't get hockey, but I understand the players need their rest, but they're kind of getting it right now a little bit. But, yeah, if they can somehow fix an 82-game season into the schedule, and it's not going to overwhelm the players too much or cause someone to get seriously injured, I mean, why not go for it? I mean, I know some people are going to get upset about the All-Star game. They're gonna, be all, piss poor about that. That little bye week, I don't think that's gonna be that significant. But yeah, hell yeah, if we can get an 82-game season, let's go for it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, All-Star game, whatever, not a big deal. So we did have a couple fan questions too about this. Asking about this, we had Christian asked, how do we think the rest of the season would pan out? I don't really know. Like I said, I would hope that they would reschedule the rest of the regular season games and finish them, but they may not. It may come down to the situations we discussed. They may just say, hey, we're going to go straight to the playoffs, which, I wouldn't be 100% happy with it, but I could understand given what's going on because there's just so much uncertainty still. So I think that's kind of what's going to happen with that as we talked about. We had another person ask, too, about the Ducks. They want to know if the Ducks have more momentum with the trade deadline and, could they try and make a wild card spot? And Eddie, we've talked about this on the show, and it's highly unlikely. The Ducks would, I guess the good thing is when this all comes back together, the Ducks would be more healthy, obviously, right? We talked about the injuries, especially on defense that they've had on the last couple shows during the regular season when we talked. So I think the Ducks would be in a better position. They'd be a healthier team. But it's highly unlikely the Ducks make the playoffs or get a wild card spot, Eddie. I think you did the math on this. The Ducks would have to win every game, and some of the teams would have to lose almost every game as well.
Yeah, for the Ducks to make the playoffs, they can't lose a single game in their last remaining 11 games left. And Vancouver and Nashville can't win a single game either, so they have to go on a losing streak. There's a few other teams in there too where they have to lose a few games for the Ducks to get there. The Ducks are just 2 points away from being eliminated. So it's just highly unlikely the Ducks would make the playoffs. And I still wouldn't want them to make the playoffs. I still, they had a better surge. They're playing better, especially. There's a lot of guys that are hurt, but then they're still stepping up and finding ways to win games or keeping up with teams that are way above their skill level. However, the playoffs is a whole different beast. You can't expect these Ducks players, especially a lot of them that are new, to rise up in the playoffs, and it's just impossible to do. You can't do it. So as great as they're playing, I still can't see them making the playoffs, even if they come back after and finish the regular season. It's not plausible.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's highly unlikely. They have to win all these games and whatnot. So, and I'm with you. It's better to look forward to the draft whenever that's going to be in next season. There's no point in trying to make the playoffs as an 8th spot, which wouldn't happen. And we'll talk about how we think this will play out, because we had another fan, Trevor from Instagram, ask us, who do you think is going to win the Cup? And looking at this stuff, and I know you got some of your favorites, Eddie. Who do you think, once this gets going, whenever it will be, who would be your favorites to be in the Stanley Cup final or to win the Stanley Cup?
I would say the Avalanche, number one. Just watching them for many years too, and then seeing them develop and how they played last season, how they're playing this season, especially with all the injuries they do have with some key players, and they're still, playing some good hockey. They'd be my favorites to win the Cup. The Boston Bruins too. They're really stacked skill-wise, and one thing they addressed this season was getting more physical and getting more grit on their team, because they got pushed around last year to the Blues. So I think they'd be one of my favorites too to win the Cup. And also, I wouldn't really look down against Dallas. I know they had a rough start; they were struggling, and people were writing them off, saying they're going to be sellers. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to tank for a higher pick, but then right now they're sniffing in a playoff spot. And look what happened last year when the Blues, they were completely dead last, and they came back and won it. So you have to look at teams like those, because it can happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Boston definitely up there for sure. I think Colorado as well. Some of the other teams that I would throw in there, I would throw in the Blues, right? The defending champs. I think they still have a good shot at it. Obviously, they're in first place in the Central right now. So I would throw them in the mix against your Colorado Avs, which I like how they've been playing as well. And, for them, kind of the same thing. They've had some injuries, right? And so this break, them coming back, them getting healthy, I think that's a huge bonus for Colorado whenever this resumes, whether it's the regular season or straight into the playoffs. And another one I don't count out, and I know Phil would be happy about this, is the Tampa Bay Lightning. The reason why is because we all know what happened last year. He's going to get mad that I bring it up. But the reason why I do bring it up is because I think they feel like they have something to prove. Obviously, getting booted out like the way that they did, I think they're hungry and they want to come back. So I could see Tampa Bay at least going farther in the playoffs this year and maybe getting up there. So those are some of the teams that Eddie and I are thinking. Everything's going to change whenever they get the stuff back on track and going. But that's just kind of a little bit of a preview of who our favorites are and whatnot in the NHL when the playoffs resume. So there's other news too that came out with minor league stuff and some other league stuff. I'll let Eddie break it down, and I'll kind of chime in after he talks about it. But unfortunately, some other leagues have been canceled, huh, Eddie?
Yeah, the QMJHL, I should just say Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, OHL and WHL playoffs, the Memorial Cup have been canceled. The KHL canceled their entire season, including the playoffs that they were in. The Hurricanes, I thought that was a fun story. They signed two brothers to entry-level contracts, David and Jason Cotton. David was the first-round pick in 2005. He's at Boston College. Jason was undrafted at Sacred Heart College. But I thought that was pretty cool to be signed with your brother and kind of build from there. I mean, look what happened in Vancouver with the Sedin twins. Not saying these two players are equivalent to them, but just having your brother play in the same team with you, that chemistry and that can like instantly boost you. Like you have someone, you have family there with you. So I think that's pretty cool. The New York Rangers, it was really nice of them. They offered Madison Square Garden to serve as a makeshift hospital. Obviously, others thought it wouldn't be a good idea, but it's just really nice of them that they're willing to step up and offer their facility for that. So to give it credit to them. The WHL, Connor Bedard, has received exceptional status and early entry into the league for the very first time in Western Canada in the WHL. Exceptional status basically means he's an exceptional player on the ice, and he's gets really mature off the ice too. So it's just more than your on ice production. You have to show that mentality and maturity, off the ice too. And I watched some video on this kid at 14 years old, 15. He's just such a smart player. He's so fast. It's just the way he moves the puck. It's like he knows what he's gonna do 2 steps before he even does it. Like his head is up all the time. He knows where everyone else is on the ice. He just drops passes knowing where his teammates are going to be. Sometimes better drop passes than Getzlaf. But he's just a really smart player, and he just seems like he's going to be, the next Crosby, next McDavid. So it's going to be fun watching this kid come up and play. And he's eligible for the draft in 2023. So if this kid is, all the hype that everyone says he's going to be, I mean, I hope the Ducks tank in the 2023 to grab him. But
yeah,
he's played for. He's played for West Van Academy, and he's scored 84 points, 43 goals, and 41 assists in 36 games. So this kid's he's just talented.
Yeah, like you were saying, Eddie. I mean, I never heard of this exceptional status thing. When this first came out, I was like, huh? What is this? So it's an interesting story. Like you said, I think he's a guy that could be a dynamite player. It's definitely one to watch. And like you said, in a couple years, he'll be draft eligible. So that's a name to, check out, Connor Bedard. I'd follow him. And not that the other two, the Cotton brothers, not that they're going to be the Sedin brothers, as you mentioned, but that's another feel-good story in Carolina. And I would follow both of them, too, and see how they do. So, even though some of the seasons have been canceled, unfortunately, that's some of the negative stuff. At least there's some of these good stories in here. And, like I said, I keep your eye on these players in the next couple of seasons. So that's some of the news around the league. Like we said, the NHL is still in flux. We'll see what they're going to do. But at least the good news with them is that they do want to, finish the season somehow and award the Stanley Cup. So that's the positive. As far as minor league hockey goes, we're pretty much, for most of it, we're out of it, as unfortunately for the rest of this year. So that kind of wraps up everything around the league and the minor leagues and everything. So we'll kind of move to the biggest segment of this show. We have a poll question that we did. We're kind of going back, talking about this season for the Ducks and your favorite moments. And we'll talk about those. And then we have tons of questions from you guys. So we're going to break them down. About 90% of them are Ducks related. And then there's a couple about the NHL. So we'll kind of go through these. A lot of them from Facebook and Instagram. So thank you guys for doing that. I pretty much posted the Facebook stuff, and Eddie did the Instagram stuff. So really appreciative to get the interaction. Obviously, there's we got a lot of downtime, right? So this is one of the ways to fill it. So we did do another poll question. We're trying to do one, every show like we had been during the regular season. So this one we put out there. Hey, what's your favorite Ducks moment this season? And unfortunately, on Twitter, I can't list all of them, right? You can only do 4. So I put on 3, and then I made the 4th one as other to see what people would say. On there, we had the Delorier hat trick, which got the most votes, almost 60%. We had the Manson takedown of Myers, and then Milano's 2-goal debut with the Ducks. Both those were close seconds. And then, of course, a lot of you chimed in with Derek Grant's hat trick. Obviously, that's another one to throw in there. And then, of course, the whole Gibson-Rooney incident, which was hilarious. We talked about that as well. So all these, I think, are the best moments, Eddie. For me, I still think the Delorier hat trick is my favorite. The reason being, there's a lot of reasons. I guess one, it's the last game of the regular season that I went to, and I went to it with you. I threw my hat out there, and it actually made it on the ice, right? There's a photo of it. There's proof it made it. Somebody in the 200s picked it up and threw it on the ice. Thank you, whoever did that. They didn't keep the hat. But I think that was my favorite moment of the season. But yes, the Derek Grant hat trick against St. Louis, that was awesome. The Manson takedown of Myers, that one is basically number one on social media. Eddie did a funny video with sound on Facebook, and it got over 250,000 hits, views, all all that stuff combined. It's just ridiculous how many people loved the Manson play. And of course, Gibson and Rooney was hilarious. We talked about that. And then I talked about Milano. We remember during the games telling my wife, hey, this guy's cool. And then, he scores 2 goals. So those are all my favorite moments, Eddie. I don't know if you want to talk about, which one is your favorite, if it's still the Delorier hat trick, or if any of these other ones you want to kind of go over, or there's something else in there that maybe we missed.
I still can't believe some low-class piece of shit would keep a hat that was supposed to be thrown on the ice. I heard stories, too, and one of your friends that were at the game with us, she said that someone tried to keep her hat, and she went and called him out, so good for her for doing that. I personally would have slugged him, but I can't believe you would just take someone else's property. Like, maybe okay if the Ducks and Pucks hat, if you want to rock it and wear it, go ahead, good for you, thanks for being a fan, but then again, like how do you be a thief like that? You're stealing. No, that belongs on the ice. I don't care if they're going to resell it, give it away. I don't care what they do. Someone scored a hat trick, show them that respect, throw the hats out. It's tradition. Don't go and keep the hat. If you're one of those people that should keep the hat, go follow another sport. Go follow freaking basketball or soccer. Soccer would probably be a good sport for you to follow. Not badminton, because I like badminton, but yeah, that's just kind of pathetic to me. But yeah, I think my favorite moment was the very last game I went to and seeing Delorier get his hat trick. Definitely going there and hanging out with you, Mike. We always have a good time when we go to games. Sometimes we have a little bit too much fun, but that's never a bad thing.
That's true.
We're always safe. That's the
yes.
one thing.
Uber Lyft, baby. Uber Lyft.
Oh yeah, just that first period was amazing, and Delorier gives his heart and soul to this team. And he like I said before, he bleeds for this team. For him to get his first ever hat trick, it was just so amazing. And then having him talk about it after, he was just like a little kid happy. The Grant one was really close too, but I wasn't there live, so I didn't have that experience and stuff. But being at the live game and watching that, hanging out with you, having a few beers, Mike. Thank you again for bringing me to that game. Like I said, if that was the last game I attended this season, I'm really glad I went to that one. That was probably the best game I've been to all season. And just another one was that Manson takedown. I think I like it more because of Miley Cyrus music. It just fits perfectly.
It's hilarious.
And then having his wife enjoy it too, so I'm pretty sure she shared it with him. So that was pretty fun to see. But I watched that thing a million times myself too, just seeing that whole thing take place. So that was pretty fun. So we had some good moments. It seems like they overshadow a lot of the bad ones, so that's always positive. And hopefully we could just go back. I know NHL TV is offering like free subscriptions right now for like 60 or 90 days or something, so you can go ahead and watch archived games. I mean, like, why not do that? Let's go, like, kind of relive some of the games and see a different outlook on that. And hopefully we forget some of the scores and we just are surprised again. So that'd be fun to do.
Yeah, a couple things that you talked about. Yeah, Manson's wife hit us up on Instagram, and that was pretty cool, like you said. She wanted a copy of the video, so that was hilarious. So that was a good job on your part, Eddie, because give you all the credit on that. You put that together, and like I said, that blew up on Facebook. I mean, I'm still getting alerts now on Facebook from that video of Manson. I just got one like 2 days ago.
It's crazy how many views it has. You just keep seeing people repost it or tag people in it. It's perfectly timed. So I don't know how I timed it so perfectly. And that song is awesome. I just tag Miley Cyrus in it. Hopefully she can retweet that and become a Ducks fan. Or I don't know. Maybe people might not want her to be a Ducks fan.
Yeah, you might want to avoid.
I love Miley though. I love Miley. Party in the USA.
Yeah, you're right. No, the way you timed it was perfect. I mean, and I think that's what made it so funny because it's right when he lays the smackdown on Myers. I mean, I still. That's probably for me. That's probably my second favorite. That was hilarious. But another thing you mentioned too about watching games. If people didn't catch it, Fox Sports West is re-airing games too. So if you want to go see, I think they're only showing the ones that the Ducks have won. I'm not 100% sure, but they're redoing those. So check it out. And that goes for other sports too. I know that they're doing it for other leagues and other sports besides hockey as well. So check for that if you want to watch football, baseball, whatever. There's other things that are going on out there too, other distractions that can help you. So with that was our poll question. We'll come up with another one for the next show and we'll talk about it. But
Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
Hey, go ahead and say what you said. We were talking offline about Gibson's takedown on Rooney.
Oh yes, that was the last thing I wanted to say about it. I'm glad you reminded me. So on someone tweeted us, I forgot, and they said, "Don't forget about Gibby's elbow." And I started laughing because that's true. The Rooney play was hilarious. Remember, I was the one that was kind of like, "Hey, he should have got an extra penalty because he talked trash." But then I said, as a fan, I loved it, and it was funny because you see him basically body check him with the elbow and shoulder in the beginning. Then he, the double fist face wash at the end, and yeah, the Gibby's elbow, Eddie. That was another play classic.
Yeah, it reminds me of The Rock, the people's elbow. Like, do you smell what Gibson is, I guess, smacking? I don't know. I think of something clever to say next time.
Yeah. That was good too. No, that was hilarious as well. That Gibson, and we've seen that. We've seen Gibson in seasons past get riled up. So it's always good to see that in there. So it's just some of the funny moments. There's been some good moments. Yeah, the Ducks haven't been winning all the games and whatnot in the season, but those are some of the things that we wanted to go over and relive the positive stuff or the funny stuff from the season that we liked. So with that, we have tons of questions. We'll start with the Facebook ones and Instagram ones. We'll kind of go through them. Again, like I said, I can't thank you guys enough. I know you want a distraction. Here's your distraction. We're talking as much as we can about hockey and the Ducks and whatnot. So we'll kind of go through these questions, and we have some good comments too as well. So one of the first ones, we did talk about this before. It comes from Steven. He asks about Eves and Kessler and what's the updates on those. We talked about it at the beginning of the season. Eves is set to retire. That's per general manager Bob Murray. He also told me that too at the Getzlaff Golf Tournament in the summer before the season. So that's pretty much where we're at. We knew his contract was going to run out, and that's really it for him, and we wish him the best. The Kessler one is still up in the air, Eddie. I get kind of mixed signals. Like we talked about, he's living back home in Michigan in the Midwest. He's doing the Kessler and Juice podcast, which if you haven't listened, it's really hilarious. It's a great show. You need to check it out. But I don't know if he is going to come back or not, Eddie. I'm kind of confused because it sounds like he says he wants to, but I just don't know that he's going to be able to with his multiple hip issues. I think Kessler's still a question mark, but for me, I'm kind of leaning towards he's not going to return, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. Maybe, possibly, it's a small little maybe. If they shorten up the season, it might not be, that too bad on his hip if he wants to try to come back. They can kind of do, like, when they play back-to-back, sit him out one game just so he's not getting that many. But it's going to be up to him, and it'll be up to how his hip is healing. Definitely, he wants to put his family and his health first and his quality of life, so that's going to take, the most important thing. I can't see him coming back though. Ducks aren't going to make the playoffs in another couple of years, I don't think. If they do happen to make a run, they get deep next season. Maybe that's a possibility. Comes halfway through the season, like Justin Williams. I don't know. He seems like he's having a good time doing his podcast, coaching over there. We're living back in Michigan with his family. He seems like he's having a great time doing that. I just don't know his mindset if he feels like he's 100% ready to retire and call it quits, or he still thinks he has a little bit of hockey left in him and wants to kind of go out basically on his own time. So it's going to be up to him. Regardless, I definitely would like to see him back and would welcome him with open arms. If it doesn't mean he's going to cause any long-term injury and re-injuring that hip or something like that. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, the other part too is, he played his 1,000th game, so that's done. And then, like you touched upon the Stanley Cup thing, and we have a fan question about that too. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But they're not going to win the Stanley Cup next year. Let's be serious here, right? They may be a contending team next year and get into the playoffs. That could be possible. But as far as him finishing out next year and playing and trying to get that cup with the Ducks, it's really difficult. Unless, like you said, if they don't do an 82-game season like we talked about earlier in the show, if they shorten it up like they've done in the lockout seasons where they've played like 40 games and whatnot, which who knows, that could be a possibility too. Like we said, everything's in flux right now. But if they had a shortened season and somehow the Ducks did go on a run or something like that, maybe. But I'm with you. I think it's tough. I just don't see him coming back. And I'm with Eddie too, and I'm probably a lot of you out there. I would totally want him back. It's not that I don't. I got to be a realist, and I think with the stuff that he's gone through, it's going to be tough. And if he comes back and he proves me wrong and he kicks everybody's ass, then I'm going to love it. And I'm going to say, hey, he came back, and Eddie and I didn't think he would, and he did, and then I'd love it. Like, please prove me wrong. I would want him to do that. But I think right now it's leaning towards no. But as we said, things can change. Another topic we talked about on shows before, Ronald Ray asked us about this. We can go over it again. Eddie had some info on it, was about the Ducks having a new third jersey next season. Ronald brought the thing about a color rush type thing. I don't really know, Eddie. I mean, we kind of talked about maybe them doing the Mighty Ducks type jerseys was what I had liked, going back to the original one. Basically the white and teal, or the white and green, if you will, however you want to, describe the original colors. But that's what I would like, is if they did something like that, and maybe a modification of that is kind of what I'm looking at. But I know you had some info on it a little bit. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, if they're going to try and do something like a third, orange kind of color or something else.
Yeah, I think he should keep the home, away, and the orange third. If they want to add that retro jersey, definitely have... I don't care, the eggplant or the white old school Mighty Ducks logo, or old school Mighty Ducks. I'd preferably want it eggplant color, that darker color. But if they're gonna go retro, and like back in the day, they used to play and wear white during their home games. So why not just pay homage to that and keep that white one? Regardless of the jerseys, are gonna look really good, and I'd be happy with either one. As far as this color rush jersey, I'm hearing it's a third person that I heard say something like that. I don't know. I haven't really seen the concepts. I've color rush, just blending a bunch of colors together, making it look nice. I'm not too sold on that. I mean, maybe if I see the jersey, but I'm really picky on jerseys, and I don't I don't want to see too many alternate jerseys like you see in baseball and basketball. I think it kind of just takes away from it. It just kind of gets, I don't know, like boring in my opinion. I'm good with just a home and away, and the current ones we have now, I like them. Maybe a little bit of touch up on some, just the lining and stuff like that. But the little nitpicky stuff I see in my jersey. The third jersey I'm fine with, no issue. And definitely a retro one. I would like that. Maybe, I don't know, one more themed one. Maybe this color rush you're talking about. Maybe do something, something else, something different. Or bring back that 25th anniversary jersey. Bring that back for a fifth alternate one or something like that. I think that would be pretty cool. But I think, like, any more than 5, I watched the Laker games with my buddy a lot when they were on. And it seemed like they're wearing like a different jersey every night. Like, okay, well, this is the yellow one. Now they're wearing a white one. Now it's a white and blue. Like, okay, what's going on? It just gets too, I don't know. It's just too much for me. So I think no more than 5, but I'd be happy with the 3 they have plus a retro one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm picky on that too. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that other Duck team, the Oregon Duck team, the college team. Like, that team, like you said, they had so many damn jerseys. They had like a yellow one, a green one, a silver one, a white one, a black one. And as you guys know, I'm an SC guy, so I like the gold and the red that SC has always had for forever, right? And then you see the stuff that Oregon does, and I'm just like, you guys kill me. Like, it's just stupid. I'm sorry. It's too much. Like, try to do all these jerseys, and then they have all these fancy helmets and everything, and I just like, man, just stop it. And so I'm with you. If the Ducks do something, I would like either to bring back something. I don't know if they do the 25th anniversary one, like you said, because that was supposed to be the 1 year and all that stuff. I'm with you. I would like that. That'd be cool. Or some slight modification of the original jersey, like I said, the white and green / teal type one that they had in the very, very beginning. That's still one of my all-time favorites. I think that would be awesome if they brought back some kind of a modification of that. So
yeah, same here. And I mean, go back to the season and look what Phoenix did. They brought back that Kashina jersey.
Yes.
That was freaking amazing. I'm sure a lot of people, non-Coyotes fans, bought that jersey. I want to buy that jersey because it just looks real iconic. It's ugly, but it's beautiful. And then I know this is bad, and a lot of fans are going to hate it, but the Kings did a good job bringing back their retro jersey too. The white one with the Kings in the middle, thinking the white and silver.
Yes.
I saw their video of it when they announced it. It was a great job by their marketing team and promotion team. Like, they really marketed that jersey, but it looked nice. I saw it in person. It really looks crisp and clean. It's just, that old school look, but with the new style. It just looks really good, and I think the Ducks can definitely hit it out of the park. And I think with the Ducks jersey, a lot of non-Ducks fans would want to buy that because it's part of history. A lot of these non-Ducks fans that grew up watching the old Mighty Ducks movies, they got into hockey because of that, because of Charlie Conway or Adam Banks or Gordon Bombay, and they just kind of developed their own team in their cities or however they picked their team. And they just, I know, like when you're a kid in Edmonton, I'm sorry to change subject, when you're a kid in Edmonton, they have a lottery on what team you're going to like, so that's over there. But seriously, I really think it'd be a good idea for the Ducks to incorporate that and bring that back. And I mean, just talk about sales. It'd just be amazing in sales for them. I would definitely buy one, maybe buy two if I can, just because those jerseys are so great.
We had a related question to this too, Eddie. We had Christian on Instagram talked about, what's our favorite and least favorite Ducks jerseys. So I'll let you go first. As far as we're talking about all these jerseys and bringing things back. Which ones did you like the best or not like the best, so far?
I'll start off with the least one. I always like to end it with good news. But I guess the least ones I didn't like were those Nike, those third jerseys they did with the home and away third jerseys. That was produced by Nike. They're kind of like teal, and then the white. I don't know. I just didn't like the design on the jerseys. They look boring and borderline ugly to me. I'm still trying to buy them just to have them as my collection, but I probably wouldn't wear them. I just don't like them. They just, I don't know. They just hurt my eye the wrong way, I guess. One of my favorites still is that one, the Ducks black and purple color one that says Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. And that nice writing. They wore the 2003-2006 as a third jersey. I think that's a beautifully worn jersey. It's nice. The black, the eggplant color. I know there's no green in it or whatever, but I think it's my favorite Ducks jersey. And I was fortunate enough to find one in Colorado, a signed one at a pawn shop. Go figure. And it was funny because I was at home. I still remember this day. My buddy hits me up. I didn't answer it. He calls me again. I'm like, dude, what's up? He goes, hey, you have to get over to this pawn shop. We're over here just like, because they call it thrifting, and they go to pawn shops to find like hidden stuff. So he said, there's this Ducks jersey there. Now, all right, can you just buy it for me? And, I'll just pay you back. He goes, I'm not going to buy a Ducks jersey. I'm a Kings fan. No way I'm going to be caught buying that. I'm like, dude, come on. So I ended up going over there because he wanted to, more importantly, he wanted me to have a drink with him. But I went there. I found it. I saw the signature. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, it's cool. I bought it for, I think, $35-$40. And I ended up getting it checked out. And then that signature was legit, and it was an authentic jersey signed by Jaguar. So it's like I came up on that jersey, which I haven't been able to find at all anymore. I mean, it's a 3X, so it's a little bit too big, and hopefully it stays too big. I never get into fitting that. But it's still a great find. It's a great story to it. It's always been one of my favorite jerseys, if not my absolute favorite jersey the Ducks had.
I think what makes that jersey interesting, Eddie, is it's unique. There's no other jersey really similar to it. I mean, like we talked about the original ones, right? The white and the purple with the Mighty Ducks logo. And then you talk about the 25th anniversary. It's a spin-off. You talk about the third orange jersey. That's also a spin-off of the original one. That black and purple one that you're talking about is a fan favorite for a lot of the people that I know. That's one of my dad's favorite jerseys. Some of my other good friends too, they really like that one. And you're right, it's hard to get that jersey. I was able to get one myself. So I think that's why people like it. That one's unique. That would definitely be one that, hey, if they were to bring back something, maybe. But it's not. I like it. The reason I think I like that one is it doesn't have the orange, it doesn't have green, teal, it doesn't have any of that stuff. It's just black with white and purple. And like you said, it has Mighty Ducks Anaheim on it, which is I don't know. I just think it's very, very cool. I think it's unique and different. The other one I like, and I know this is going to get mixed reactions because some people hate this jersey and other people love it, but I love the Wild Wing jersey. I have one of those. They're hard to get. I mean, when it came out, it was like there was that, and remember the Burger King jersey that the Kings had, and everybody hated those jerseys, right? They were like, "What the hell is this shit?" Right? These jerseys are god awful. But now you try to find these jerseys, they're expensive as hell because they're so difficult to find. I love it. I've worn it to a couple of the games, and I crack up because the sizes on it are terrible. I think I have like a 2X and it barely fits me. And for me, it's usually XL or double X depending on the make or style, right? Because, like we said, it's changed over the years. You've had Nike, Starter, Champion, Adidas, Reebok, all these guys, right? So that's one of my favorite ones, along with the one that you mentioned. My two of the Ducks. My least likely favorite one, I have to agree with you partially, is I wasn't so negative on those third jerseys in the late 90s. The white one with the green stripe I thought was okay, but I didn't like the other one you're talking about that was mainly purple with the green. I don't know. That one, that was the away jersey back then. If you remember, it was all different, right? Home jerseys were white and the away were colored, right? Everything's switched now. But that purple, silver, and tealish one, I didn't like that one. The white and green one, that was okay. So, but yeah, that's kind of our breakdown of the jerseys, and I'm excited. I want to see what they're going to do next, and like you said, I hope they don't do anything too crazy. Hopefully, they just do something a little bit similar to what we've had before. When
was Starter again, Mike? I was going to ask you.
What's up?
Was Starter or CCM the first brand of? For the Ducks, because I have a CCM Ducks one and a Starter Ducks jersey.
I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah, I'll go check that out.
I have to double check. I don't want to be wrong, but the very first jerseys I had, my mom bought me, were the home and away ones, the white and the purple, way back in '93. And I have to go dig them out of my archives of jerseys, but I'm pretty sure they were CCM. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, you're right. I just found it on eBay right now. One for $220, so I'm guessing it's real. Who knows? Maybe fake. It's a quick search. It says CCM.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the original ones, and then I know that Starter and Champion kind of started making some, and Nike and all that. They started kind of making some of the third ones, and then they had some spin-offs and things like that. But I'm pretty sure it was CCM, at least initially.
Yeah, man. You talked about that Kings one, that Burger King one. That was ugly, but it's one of those. If you're a Kings fan, now you definitely want them.
Yep.
Like, I know a lot of Islanders fans that old school fisherman jersey.
Yes.
That no one liked. And then another one was one of my favorites, too, because I played on a team called the Rangers. Those old school Statue of Liberty jerseys.
Yes.
Those are... I would buy one. If I could find one at a decent price, I'd buy one to have it. And I still have like my youth one when I played in youth hockey. We had the Rangers. It was just the first team I won... ever championship in my whole like playing little hockey career and stuff. When I was a kid, and it was just we were called the Rangers. And we had that jersey. It was just really nice.
Yeah, so, no, you're right. I mean, some of those jerseys, it's funny because you see it at the time, and you're like, maybe you don't hate it, maybe you don't like it, maybe it's just kind of on the fence. You're like, yeah, it's okay. And then it's funny, like you said, you see it a couple years later, you're like, oh my god, that's cool, and it's like, crap, how do I go find that jersey now?
I know, it's like if you could just go back and buy them, and man, I wish I would have. I wish I would have started my jersey collection a lot sooner than I did. Instead of just blowing it off like when I was younger in my car, I'd spend more time putting rims and buying parts for my engine. I wish I would have spent that money on buying jerseys. I still have all my collection and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where, you know what, we could probably do half a show just talking about all the jerseys around the league. Like, that'd be a fun show to do and talk about that.
We could do that. That could be something we just talk about on the next one. We can talk about, like, the history of the Ducks jerseys. Because I remember I wrote out the timeline of all the jerseys and when they were released and everything. And, it's funny. I should go back and look that up, and we could talk about that on the next show. And then, like you said, talk about unique jerseys on other teams and whatnot. So that's something that we may discuss. And like I said, when we have the next show, we're going to ask you guys for more input, too. And we still got more stuff to go through here. A lot of good stuff. The latest one that we had, and this is a pretty good one, Eddie, that you got off Instagram. We had Paul Go Ducks ask about favorite players, but then a lot of people are doing this where they're doing it based upon the status of the player. So in this one, I'll let you break it down, but it's what's your favorite current NHL player, what's your favorite traded player, and then what's your favorite non-Ducks player in the NHL, and then all-time favorite player.
Yeah, okay, so I went ahead and changed it up for our social media just to keep everybody engaged. I posted it, so go ahead and share it. Check it out. Instagram, you can copy it, add in your thing, tag your friends. But basically, I put for our social media, favorite current player, favorite retired player, favorite prospect or rookie, then favorite traded player. That's on social media. On here, I did it a little different. I put, favorite current player from the Ducks right now is Delorier. Favorite traded player that the Ducks had is still Chris Wagner. For all time, favorite is Timo Solani, and he's my favorite because of his play and then his personality off the ice and every engagement and interaction I've had with him. Experience is just he's always been nothing but 100% loving. I can tell you stories after stories. I'll tell you another story because there's never enough Timo stories. I was outside one of the games. My buddy and I would go to a lot of games, but we hated traffic. And it was before we knew, or I think even before the Jack Daniels Lounge did their thing. We'd wait outside where the players drove off, hoping to get autographs, just to kill traffic most of the time. Solani goes, he comes up, he waves to us, takes off. We're about to leave. Like 30 minutes later, traffic died. Like, okay, we're gonna leave. He pulls back up. Because it was like sprinkling a little bit. He pulls back up. He was like, hey, I was just wanted to see if you guys are still here. Sorry for not stopping. I had to take my dad home, and I just figured I'd come back and sign if you guys were still here. It's like, holy shit, what kind of player has that mentality to do that? Like, dude, you're already going home or wherever you took your dad, and you just came back just to sign for us. Like, that was just a really fun experience and just shows the level of just respect I have for this guy. He's the greatest athlete like ever in my eyes. I think just on ice and off ice. So he'd be my all-time favorite. And then my non-Ducks player, as a lot of you guys know, I followed the Avalanche a lot for many years since 1997. 97, 98 when I saw Patrick Waugh. I followed them. I'm stationed in Colorado, and I got to see Nathan McKinnon play his first game. I got to see him pretty much rise to a superstar. Got to meet him a few times, a little more reserved and quiet. He hit me with the puck in one of the games. He deflected off his stick. It came out in the stands. Ends up almost hit me in the face because I was on my phone like an idiot. I deflected it. Someone caught it in front of me. They ended up giving it to me. So later on down the road, I had that signed by him. But he has to be one of my favorite players. He's just so fun to watch. He's so fast and the way he just stops on a dime and his shot, it's just a really good and fun player to watch. And then I'm going to add this as one of my favorite rookies too. I would have to say it's going to be Troy Terry. I think he has a lot of potential to be a really great player. Definitely, I can see him being a top line player and producing a lot for the Ducks once he makes that step.
No, I'm with you on Troy Terry. And speaking of Teemu stories, man, I got a bunch too as well. I mean, we could probably do a whole segment on Teemu stories, maybe bring it back on the show. But
oh yeah, see if he remembers them.
I think one of the good ones that I remember having was it was really at the golf tournament last year. They had a Jägermeister sponsor at one of the holes there, and they had the little shot board. Right, and so Teemu and I took a shot together of the Jägermeister with a couple other people, and I posted that video way back when. And I mean, that was awesome to me. I mean, there's this guy, that he's out there having fun and doing his thing, and he's just like you said, he's just nice and inviting. He's like, come on, let's take a shot of this. I'm like, all right, Teemu, like I'm gonna say no, right? I mean, that's how he is. I mean, it was awesome. And then I was really fortunate too. They had an event at his steakhouse place in Laguna, right? The Solani Steak Tavern, and got to watch one of the Stanley Cup games. It was a couple years back, and he was there, and there was a bunch of other people there as well. And I forgot exactly what the event was for, but we were there hanging out, and he had his Stanley Cup ring, and he let me wear it. And I mean, I remember that was like, holy crap. Like, I felt weird, but he was letting people take photos and wearing the ring. So I'm like, I need to join in on this, right? These other people are doing it. I mean, I don't want to be left out, right? First I was kind of, nervous, obviously. And that was a great moment. That photo I have of with him was just fantastic. So, I mean, obviously you guys all know that he's my favorite all time. That's a no-brainer on there. I have some similar ones too that Eddie talked about. I would say current player on the Ducks. Yes, I go with Delorier too, as Eddie mentioned. For the traded player, I would have said Chris Wagner as well. Everybody knows how passionate I have been about Wagner over the years on this show and social media and articles and stuff. But now, of course, it's going to be Derek Grant because, he had the hat trick earlier. He was doing so great. He got traded. We talked about the whole thing about we wanted a higher draft pick. So now I'm still kind of irritated about that. I do hope he comes back in the offseason. That's what Murray was saying at the Hockey Hot Stove, that was going to happen. But everything's all up in the air now. So for me now it's Grant. My favorite non-Ducks player currently in the league right now would be Marc-Andre Fleury. As some of you know, I also like the Penguins, and I liked how he was playing there. And of course now he's on Vegas, obviously. And I really like his play. I like following other goalies around the league as well, not just the ones that we have. Don't get me wrong, I love Gibson and Miller too. But as far as a non-Ducks player, that would be the one that I like. So it's a good thing. I'm glad that you did that on social media. So look for those posts that Eddie did and chime in and throw in your answers. We love it. The more fan interaction, the better. Another question we had, this was kind of one we alluded to earlier, Eddie, was how far away are the Ducks from playoff contention? We had a couple different people ask that on Instagram. And I think we discussed this before, but I would say bare minimum at least 2 years away, maybe 3, 4 at the most. I know Murray talked about it, like I said, at the Hockey Hot Stove, and he didn't want a 5-year rebuild. He wanted it to be sooner, but then he also didn't want it to be so soon that, hey, we're like one and done. We have one great year, and the Ducks go through several years of downward play. So I'm thinking it's still a couple years away, Eddie. 2 to 3. What do you think?
I'd say 2 to 3. I say 2 years, definitely a playoff contending team. 3 would be a more dangerous team that's not going to be one and done. If you go out next season, you're going to be out. I think after that third year, we're going to be a consistent playoff team. We're going to have, there's going to be a lot of changes. A lot of our young guys are going to be able to fill in bigger roles and develop into the better players. It's going to be an overall, faster team as we've seen already this season. This season has been a lot better than last season, minus the stoppage, of course. But just as far as like the play, the team's a lot faster. It's speedier. They got more grit too, Delorier, but a few of the other players aren't just skating full speed just to stop and not hit. Some of the other players are going and finishing their checks. Players like I mentioned, Troy Terry, as small as he is, he's not a big physical guy, but if he has the opportunity to hit you, he's going to hit you. So I like to see that from the Ducks. And it seems like, I keep talking about play full 60 minutes. Last season was just absolutely terrible because you just watch a 20-minute game and then the Ducks are done. This season, it's improved, so I like that. I can't say anything bad about them. Yeah, it's still not a full 60-minute, and you probably can't get a team to play full 60 minutes, but they're just playing a lot better. And they'll have like a period or 15 minutes, but they seem, once they start going down and recognizing that, they seem to sprout back up and get back into play. So I love seeing that about the team. So I'd say 2 years, definitely a playoff contending team. 3 years to be a consistent playoff contending team and really dangerous.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not too far away. I mean, next season, like we said, that's all up in the air too, as we talked about, obviously with a delayed start, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I think the year after that is when we'd really see it. So it's not far away, not too far. We had another good question on Instagram from Shredden37. He talked about what's your biggest draft surprise and biggest bust in the history of the franchise. And Eddie, you had some good ones on here that you wanted to talk about, one of each, and then I have similar and a little bit different, but I'll let you go first on this one and say who do you think's the biggest surprise and who's the biggest bust.
Definitely a really great question too. I don't know. I sound like great question. Like whoa, but yeah, it was a really good question. I did some research and went down and looked at all the players in the draft. It took me a little bit, but even teams, way before my time, the players. I didn't start being a fan until 95, 96, that season, so I had to look back. But I'd say the biggest surprise to me was Freddie Anderson. Not only, he was a third-round pick, 87th overall by the Ducks in 2012. He was originally selected by the Carolina Hurricanes in the 7th round, 187th overall in the 2010 draft. However, they couldn't get a contract worked out. I don't know if the changing the agent or if Freddie Anderson didn't want to just be in Cam Ward's shadow and wanted more opportunity to be a number one goalie sooner. But yeah, he was ultimately sent back to the draft. The Ducks got him. He played great for Anaheim. We got to watch him, develop into a good goalie. I want to say elite goalie. Fortunately, we had a younger John Gibson, and John Gibson's good too. I think he's an elite goalie. He stood on his head last season, this season, and fortunately, we couldn't keep both of them. He was traded to Toronto, but we did get some value out of him because we got Sam Steele and Max Comtois. So it's just like I think that was the biggest surprise draft pick, because what we developed him into, and then what we got back for him. And yes, I'm not trying to start a goalie debate. People are like, "Oh no, the goalie debate! Here we go."
Stop it, Eddie.
Cabin fever. Now the biggest bust. An honorable mention: Chad Kilger. He was the 4th overall pick in '95. He only played in 45 games with the Ducks, scoring 12 points. 5 goals, 7 assists. I picked him as an honorable mention. I didn't want to call him a complete bust because he was used in a trade to get Teemu Selanne over here. Oleg Trebodowski, our 2nd overall pick, was also used, but I don't want to call him a bust either because he came back to Anaheim and we still got some value and some good hockey out of him. But bringing Selanne back as part of that trade, definitely not a bust. So here's the biggest bust, in my opinion, in Ducks history is Chistov. How do you say that name? These Russian names.
Stanislav.
Stanislav. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Spit it out more. Stanislav. Chistov. He was the 2001 first round, 5th overall draft pick. Now this is the only. He's tied for the. I guess this is the only 5th or 6th time in Ducks history we got a pick lower than 5. He's tied as another player that was picked 5th overall. He spent 2 seasons with the Ducks. He played in 135 games, only scored 48 points, 14 goals, 34 assists. I want to call him a bust because picking a player that high, him not panning out. And then we picked up P.A. Parenteau in the 9th round of that same draft, 264th overall. That was when they had the whole 9 rounds. He played in 491 games, scoring 296 points, 114 goals, 182 assists. He had some 53, 67-point careers with the Rangers. He had another 41, I believe, when he played for Colorado. He scored a lot of big goals for Colorado. I got to watch him live. A really great player, and we traded him to the Hawks for Sebastian Caron, a goalie that only played 1 game. Matt Keith, who played no games for the Ducks, only the AHL, and Chris Durneau, who only played in the AHL. So I think I will throw him as the biggest bust because he didn't produce as being that top 5 pick player that he's supposed to be and produce. And I mean, we've had a 9th guy that if we would just spent some more time on him, who knows, maybe he could have exceeded the expectations of that 9th pick and blossomed up to be a even better player than he was with the Islanders. I'm sorry, and I don't know, that'd be my biggest bust. I hate to just call someone a bust. It sucks knowing that your team dropped the ball on. I'm picking a player. I was going to go into more detail and go through that draft and see who was picked after him, but I didn't want to piss myself off too much. So I'll just hold off on that. If you want to go check, you guys can. But I was like, oh, no, I'm already getting mad because we had, this top 5 guy didn't produce. But, yeah, those are my picks for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the biggest surprise was Freddie. Unfortunately, he's not on the team anymore, right? And yes, we're not starting a goalie debate. Be quiet, stand down. We're not doing that. But we're just answering the question. I think you're right. I think that was the biggest surprise there. As far as the bust, yeah, Chistov, that was sad. That was a bust. For me, the more recent one, blow him up, Nick Ritchie. I'm sorry. He did play a lot of games for the Ducks, but again, being a first round pick, not producing, getting all the penalty minutes and everything like that. He's my more recent one, unfortunately. That and like Eddie said, it's not to put the person down or anything, but we're just answering the question, and he just didn't live up to expectations, unfortunately. You did get some decent games out of him, more so than some of the other picks and whatnot, but he just didn't pan out. He didn't live up to the hype that we all thought he was going to be in the beginning. So,
hey, do you think, I have a question, because I know Pastrnak was picked after Ritchie.
Yes.
Do you think when the Ducks and Bruins played, when Pastrnak scored 4 goals against us, it was like a big F you, like, hey, you guys didn't want to pick me? You know what? Here's 4 goals later. Like, number 1, top scorer in the league.
I doubt it, but yeah, I know. That is a funny sideline to bring up, Eddie. But yeah, no, probably not. But yeah, I know what you're saying. That is a funny point. But yeah, great question. Thanks for that one, Shreddin37 on Instagram. We had another one. This one's kind of interesting from Adam Town. He says, should the Ducks go after... He says, Subban. I'm assuming PK Subban, not the goalie Subban. For me, I say no. I'm not a big fan as far as how he's been recently. I think Subban before, I liked him, yes. I know Murray talked about getting a guy that can blast the slap shot on the power play and getting a defensive player like that. That's what the Ducks do need to get this power play going right. We've talked about how awful the special teams have been all season. So I just don't see them doing it. The reason for me is I think the cost is too high. Unfortunately, that's why I think Murray wouldn't do it. I know that's kind of the bummer. We've talked about that. It's kind of been one of our criticisms of Murray. But I don't think he's going to go after someone that's going to cost a lot. And on top of that, I think he's gotten a little bit too distracted with his off-ice stuff, Eddie. I think he's doing too much social media and clowning around stuff, and I just don't think he's still good, obviously, still great actually, but he just seems to get too distracted in my opinion with off-ice stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, like he's done a lot for the hockey community, and he has that personality that was great. When he played in Montreal, I would be saying, hell yes, bring him over. He's a great player. It just seems like he cares about himself way too much and a little borderline arrogant. His YouTube channel that he's doing with his wife or whatever, he's always on social media. Like, bro, your team's in dead last and you're still worried about having people follow you on social media or check out your channel. Hell no, you should have shut that down and focus on your team. Yeah, you made all these comments when you got traded, how you're working out and you're ready to, for the Devils. You're supposed to lead that team. You were that elite player, supposedly, that they brought in that's supposed to help out. And it seems like all you care about is your social media. And I don't know the guy, so I don't know how his mind works or if he has a marketing team. If he does, a public relations team, they should all be fired. Because it was the absolute wrong time to start posting and building his channel and his YouTube or his social media influence status. Like, you're a professional hockey player. You're a leader of that team. You should act and perform that way. And I'm not just saying it because it's Subban or anything. Any player, like, if your team's dead last, like, hell no. I mean, look at the Senators players when they were all talking crap about their coach and that drunken Uber thing. You have to have a set standard in professionalism, and that word professional comes before athlete. It just seeing his stuff like that. No, I mean, maybe if we want to hire him as Wild Wing or an in-game arena, but I like what Sammy's doing, so I wouldn't want to replace him. I hope he gets his head straight. He has too much talent to waste on what he's doing right now. Like, we have 14, 15 points this season, dude. I don't think you barely have 3 goals. Hell no, something has to change, and I think he needs to get his head up his ass, out of his ass, it's been up his ass, and get off social media and focus 110% on being that professional athlete that the Devils need you to be. It's not fair to the organization. It's not fair to the fans that go and support the Devils. There's no way. They made a lot of changes, and just the changes didn't pan out, but it just seems like Subban's just kind of going through the motions.
No.
Now, I know you brought up Malcolm Subban. I think he'd be a good addition if Miller decides to hang him up to step in a backup role. I like his play. He's he can play some pretty good hockey. I'm not sure the cost though. He's probably going to go around maybe $3 million, maybe 3.54, and maybe he could be a starter for another team. So it's unlikely that would happen. But if I had to pick, I'd rather have Malcolm Subban in the net rather than PK Subban.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I agree with you on everything you said, and I think, we didn't touch on Miller. We're pretty sure he was going to retire at the end of the season. That was kind of the word that had been going around during the regular season. Then, of course, all this nonsense happened. So now we don't know if they do cut the regular season, they go to playoffs. If we've seen his last game, right, or maybe he will decide to come back next year. Maybe that's a little bit in flux. But if he doesn't, like you said, having Malcolm Subban come in would be great. I'm with you, though. The thing that may hold that up is he does have potential to be a starter. Or at least he wants to be. So that may be a reason why he wouldn't come to Anaheim. But I would totally take him. If Miller retires, I would definitely take his brother over PK. And like you said, PK needs to get some of his personal stuff straightened out, Eddie.
Oh, yeah. You know what, I'd say right now, too, I'd take Jordan Subban. I think he's with Vancouver. defender. He's still in their pipeline. He hasn't really panned out how he was projected to be, but I'd rather take him and give him an opportunity to play on the blue line for the Ducks than PK Subban. I think he'd be more effective and be a better player right now than his brother is.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one to look out for, too. Another name to keep an eye on, right, as all this stuff develops. So, great question from Adam Town on Instagram. I'll take one more, and then I'm going to do some shout-outs on some of the comments that some of the fans had given us. But on this other question, this one's a good one. For those of you that are thinking about the Orange Alliance, do I want to be a season ticket holder or a member of that? We had Runes04 on Instagram ask us, what's the pros and cons? I have mixed feelings, Eddie. We've talked about this a little bit, about being a season ticket holder. I think some of it depends on the rep. I had a very good rep, still have a good rep. She does a great job. She's in communication and I talk all the time. She does great work. I know you were talking about, you've had a rep that was basically non-existent, unfortunately. So there's some of that. It depends on, they have different people that basically are assigned to groups of fans, if you will. So there's some of that. I do like the things that they're doing as far as they're having these, hockey hot stoves with Murray. They've had like 3 or 4 of them now, which some teams don't even do that. And they allow only the Orange Alliance members to go. So that's a very, very huge positive thing. I like that a lot. The thing I don't like is I don't like the giveaway situation. I've been pretty adamant about that, and some people even disagree with me. But what I don't like is when they have certain deals at certain games where it's buy these tickets and you get this item or that item, but then the season ticket holders don't get the items. To me, I don't like that. And yes, there's a point system basically. The amount of money you spend on tickets, what you buy at the team store, drinks, things like that, you get points. There's also a separate website with merchandise, and you can go in there and get those items. But to me, if you're a season ticket holder, some of these items, I shouldn't have to spend the points I earned to get these items just because some random fan bought a ticket to a game. I just don't understand that. I think that if you're doing a giveaway, then your season ticket holders should be getting all the giveaways. They shouldn't be having to convert points to go get them. And sometimes they run out and you don't get anything. If you're not on it, like I'm not always on the separate website, like checking every single item because some of the stuff gets bought out pretty quick. I just don't think that's fair. I get how they do the flash sales things and they want people to come to the games. I totally get that. I understand that. It makes sense. But I just don't, my pet peeve is why do I have to pay points to go get an item when I'm already a season ticket holder? Most other teams don't do that. You're a season ticket holder, you get whatever the giveaways are for the season. And then there's additional things you buy on the website. So that's kind of my take on it. Overall, I like it, but it could be a little better.
Yeah, well, I think my first season was 3 years ago before the Orange Alliance. It was like the season before they started doing Orange Alliance. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was terrible. I think the nicest my rep ever was to me and more like great to me was when I went to the Pick a Seat event and he was all convincing me and stuff. He didn't really break down all the benefits though. He just told me a few of them. I ended up buying them. He ended up taking another job somewhere else. I wasn't told that. I tried to find him for a while and another guy finally calls me. Oh, I'll be taking over his stuff. Okay, that's all I heard from him. I talked to him once. I remember they were giving away these coins, and I missed the Jagear coin because I was upstairs at Jack Daniel's Lounge. We went downstairs, and they were gone. So I emailed him asking if he has extra. He said no. And then I had the same question, too, is like when they had those packages, like, hey, do you have any extra? Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, I get it. Like, those are sponsored things. They have, for whatever reason, they only have limited quantities, but there's still a lot of extra stuff back there. Ducks have a whole warehouse, like a couple blocks away, that's just piled full of all these stuff. Like, it's just ridiculous that they can't give season ticket holders. You guys spend a ton of money. I don't care if you sit in the very top, you sit in the very bottom, you have a suite. You still spend your hard-earned money. You should be given these stuff and not just a random Joe Blow just buys 3 tickets to a game and he gets this Ducks ugly sweater. My first time owning season tickets was in Colorado, and my rep, and compared to the standings that I compared, she was awesome. She knew I was a Ducks fan too, and when the Ducks played the Avs, she would email me and ask me if I'm coming to the game, and then she'd caught me lower bowl seats next to the Ducks, like just out of nowhere. If you missed the game, up to 10 times you bring your ticket stubs, you get them replaced, every giveaway that I missed, I emailed her. She just told me, let me know when you come to the next game. I'll give it to you. She did. And she'd always just email me periodically, checking in, see how things were going. If I saw her at the game, she stopped me and talked to me for a little bit. She was just on her game, and she made me like want to renew. So when that time came to renew and all the emails got sent out, I didn't even hesitate. I just, okay, well, I'll put my deposit in, I'll renew, because she's just that level of customer service, and she actually cared about it. And her to go out of her way too to make email me asking if I'm coming to the Ducks versus Avs games just so she can give me lower bowl seats. That was just amazing to me. So it's just, when I was with the Ducks, they kind of dropped the ball and rubbed me the wrong way, and I'd rather just not spend my hard-earned money on just season tickets when I can just buy single games, or go at you sometimes, Mike, and just buy you a few beers.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, you're not alone, in that sentiment. I talked to my ticket rep, and like I said, she's awesome, and she's gotten some of the similar feedback that you've said too, unfortunately, and that's the way it is. And I've told them that, the other thing that I battled some of the Ducks people over was the shock top terrace thing. I still don't. That's been another sore point for me. I don't understand why they charge hockey fans to do that. If you go to Honda Center for other events, most of the time it's free. So why are they charging? Why are they charging us? Why are they charging the hockey fans?
And it's always empty. Every time you look down, you never see it full. When you brought me, when you had those tickets that one time we went, there was plenty of room.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it packed one time, but it was still not packed enough where it was still tons of room everywhere. I mean, yeah, that restaurant looked a little too fancy for me when I was peeking in.
Yeah.
But you know what? About the Orange Alliance, I can't really comment on that. I don't know. It seems like just seeing Mike's benefits and a couple other of my buddies, it seems better than when I had it, but maybe not as good as I had it in Colorado, but it's still a little bit of an improvement from when I first had it.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better. Like I said, them having these exclusive events and different things that they're doing for the Orange Alliance members and things like that, it has gotten better overall. For me, it's just the giveaway thing has been a sticking point for me, and I've battled it out with other people about this and whatnot, and they're like, oh, well, you got points and you can buy it, and it's like, well, that's great, but that's not the point. Everybody should get those giveaways. There's a lot of arguments there, and I'm not going to dwell on any of that. But overall, to get to the question, yes, I do think it's worth it. You do get a lot of benefit out of it. You get a discount at the team store. You get a few other things. You get points. You can buy things, autograph stuff. They raffle off things on the website. There are a lot of good things, and yes, it's improved from the way it was before. It is definitely a lot better. So I do recommend doing it. I do think it's worth it, in my opinion, overall.
Oh yeah,
overall.
And you get your own free tickets to every game you want to go to. That was the one advantage when I first moved back and had them. I was at home one day, Ducks were playing, hit up a few friends. I had no one to go with. Hey, screw it, I have tickets anyways. I'm going. Shot over there, and I had some of my best memories going by myself because I run into you, I run into Jen. There's always someone I know, either from Twitter or guys I play hockey with, but I'm never alone at that game. Even when I'm sitting by myself and Ducks score, I'm high-fiving people right next to me, and we're having conversations with the people next to me. Everyone's just friendly at Honda Center. That's one good thing I could say about it, is I had some of my great experience and best experience just being able to have those tickets and go to the game. So that was fun. So congratulations on if you get the season tickets, and hope you have fun next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to give a couple shout-outs to some fans here before we kind of wrap it up with our last little section here where we're going to kind of talk about kind of world events, I guess, a little bit. But we had on Instagram, we had Bozzy1900. He said, best wishes from Germany. So I want to give you a shout-out over there across the pond, as they say, and I hope everything's going good, in Europe. Obviously, I was in England a little before all this nonsense happened, so I wish you guys the best over there as well. Thank you for that note. I want to give Trish on Facebook a shout out. She said, we talked about, favorite memories this season, and we did talk about Teemu earlier. Probably should have mentioned that during that point, but she said she got to meet Teemu Selanne this season, and it was one of her, her favorite memories of this year. So shout out to her as well. I'm glad you got to do that. And as we talked about, he's the man, so I'm sure you had a great time talking to him. The last one I wanted to give to, and it kind of transitions into our last segment, Eddie, is from Alex Rodriguez. He talked about how he's been cooking at home during all of this, but he's also been working on promoting mom and pop shops. And I think this is a big thing, and it's kind of what we're going to talk about now, what we're doing with what's going on in the world in our free time. But supporting local businesses has been a huge thing, and I highly encourage it. If you guys remember, we have our watch parties. We've had some of them at El Ranchito this year. They are still doing takeout orders, so please hit them up. The one in Orange is. I'm sure the other locations are as well. I also went another spot that a lot of my family goes to before Duck games. We go to Islands in Orange. I just went there this week. They also have takeout orders. I know it's not necessarily mom and pop, but it's again another local business. So I think that's a big thing, Eddie, as we talk about kind of what we're doing now without sports and everything like that. But if you can, is try to support those local businesses, especially the mom and pop ones that are struggling during this time.
Oh, definitely. And freaking Alex, he's awesome. He's always commenting and stuff. So thank you for that. It's important right now to kind of be together. Not be together. Obviously, we're all together, and we're probably annoyed by that. But kind of stick together and help out when we can. I have a roommate, my buddy, and he knows. I deal with depression, anxiety, and mental illness. And he knows hockey's my one and only escape from everything. I'm not playing. I'm not watching. So every day he either calls me or he pounds on my door to make sure I'm okay. So I love that support system, and definitely supporting the mom and pops. I'm not going to name the place, but we went out last week and I called one of the mom and pops establishments that I go to, and I just wanted to have a beer in public. I just wanted to be out. I was so just cabin fever. I was feeling depressed, and the person knew me. And she said, "Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you guys come in, just drink it in to-go cups, and you guys can sit in the corner." And it felt good. We drank 2 or 3 beers, but spent like an hour and a half there just sipping them slow. But I felt normal for a little bit. It felt good. Yeah, should I have done that? No, I should have stayed home. But I just at some points I have to be out. I have to. There's only so much I can do by talking to someone and staying indoors. It's just having that 3-hour interaction with my buddy, even though I live with them. It still felt good being out in public. But definitely 100%. If you see one of those mom and pops, and then you see them take out or order from them, just trust me, because they're going to be hit the most. And talking to the person that runs this and owns that establishment, he's hurting. But his goal is to hire every one of his employees back once this gets done. He said it's going to be hard. He doesn't know how he's going to do it, but that's his main goal, and he wants to stick to it. So it's just these owners really care about their employees too. Unfortunately, they don't have enough money to be able to pay their employees during this time. But hopefully, everything gets better, or find a cure, or just we can overcome this, and we can just go out and have a beer, and it's not have to hide it and sneak around, and the door opens and look. And I see that badge, it's like, oh man, I hope he doesn't come and see what I'm drinking, because we're not supposed to be drinking out in public. And I mean, I don't care if I get in trouble. I'll take whatever responsibility, but I just don't want the establishment to get in trouble for me being kind of selfish and wanting that just social interaction.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's a good point, like you said, that Alex brings up. Either the places that you go to normally, or especially the small business owners. If you can do it, if you can go pick up some food and do the takeout stuff, or do the the Uber Eats and the delivery stuff, whatever you can do to help out with other people, I highly encourage it. I know we're all struggling. Different things are going on in the world, and we're not going to talk about all that stuff on the show. We're just going to try and talk about things that you can do and positive stuff. Some other good stories that came out too, Eddie. We did talk about at home. We'll talk about this too, about watching movies and whatnot and different things. One that I brought up, right, I talked about last time, was Ford versus Ferrari on the last show. And, Ford was in the news recently, and I'm very happy about this, that they have now building tons of medical supplies. They're partnering up with 3M, GE, and the UAW to get these products out there, to get the stuff that we need across the United States. So I was already proud to be a Ford person. We all know that. I talked about it in the last show, and those of you that are close to me know that, I have always been that way. So I'm even more proud of them for doing that, and the company's working for them. And then Bauer too, they're also working on making medical supplies. So those are some positive stories out there, as these businesses are transitioning to do things to, just to help society in general.
Oh yeah, I think the Stars general manager and I think ownership or someone else from the Dallas Stars, they're taking a 50% pay cut to help out their employees. I thought that was pretty awesome. That's pretty amazing to do. Buffalo, things that happen in Buffalo, I need to jump on that. But yeah, like these companies going out there and wanting to help out, especially Ford, that's just amazing. Maybe I start liking him more because I didn't really like him after seeing Ford versus Ferrari. But no, that's a really good thing. As far as like TV shows, I was went on a binger, not drinking. Well, maybe a little bit drinking too, but I went on a binge thing on catching up on Ink Master, Bar Rescue, or now I'm still watching Bar Rescue, and 60 Days In. 60 Days In is a show where participants agree to get locked up in jail for 60 days. I don't know why it's so entertaining to me. It is. And I'm sitting there like, this guy's a P word because he can't. He quit. Like I'm like, you know what? If I don't know. I'm watching TV. I'm not in that predicament. And I'm like, oh well, you know, maybe this seems easy because I'm locked in the house. But you know what? I think jail is a whole other ball game. And then seeing this latest season, this jail looks freaking horrible. Like I wouldn't even want to cross the freaking street the wrong way in Alabama. Just seeing all the crap that goes on in that jail. So if you guys are looking for something to watch, that's pretty good. Ink Master, people that like tattoos, it's a really good show. They kind of break down. And you get to learn more about like the culture of tattooing and the different forms of it and what they look for. It's just really interesting to me. And then the artwork that they create, I don't like the I guess the drama they kind of do. It's kind of whatever, but just watching them work, it's just amazing and seeing what they can do. And then Bar Rescue. If you guys haven't watched Bar Rescue, John Taffer, it's just awesome. John Taffer yells. He just makes you feel like you're a kid. Like I'm watching the show and I was like, man, I feel sorry for his kids because the way he yells at adults and breaks them down, like, man, it's just a few of the fun shows. One of them I want to mention, too, I don't know if you saw it on Netflix, Mike, that Tiger one.
Yes, I just watched it.
Oh, man, see, that's another reason why I never want to get married. I don't want to get freaking fed to tigers.
That one's crazy. I just, my wife turned me on to that one, and we watched the first one. Because a lot of Eddie and I are big animal people too. We shout out to OC Animal Care too, and everything that they're doing as well. We always talk about adopt, don't shop. I just want to throw them out there as we're winding down the show. But yeah, I crack up because I'm a big cat person. So I watch this and I'm like, holy crap, this guy's nuts, dude. He has these huge ass tigers, and he says, "Oh, I got 200 something tigers in all these cages." And I'm like, you are a crazy dude. But it's entertaining. I mean, yeah, we started watching that. Like you mentioned, Bar Rescue. That's been a favorite. My wife and I watched that for years. So I love watching that. I did finally watch the new Star Wars movie. I highly recommend it if any of you out there haven't seen it yet. I know I'm behind. It's been out for a while, but whatever. I'm busy sometimes, Now I got more time to watch TV, so I did like that as well. And I did get Disney Plus. A lot of good stuff on there. You can watch like every single Star Wars movie except for the new one. But there's also the Avengers on there. I've been catching up on those movies. I hadn't seen some of those. Those are some long ass movies. But I mean, it helps the time go by and it's entertaining. So there's stuff out there to do. There's things to watch. I highly recommend even just going on a walk. That's what my wife and I did the other day. We went and supported one of the local businesses and we walked there and got food and walked back. So those are some of the things to do out there. I think the only other little tidbits to kind of break down, Eddie, is kind of funny. We talked about the Ducks jerseys, right, on the last two shows and everything. So then my other team, the Rams, were in the news, and I just really wasn't happy about this. The Rams came up with a new logo, and if you didn't see it, I mean, the logo's okay. They had two different versions of it. They have one that has LA with the horn thing in it and all that stuff, and then they have another one with a Ram actual face right on it, and that one looks a little better. But the problem is with this, as someone pointed it out on social media, is that the logo looks like the San Angelo University logo. So it looks the same, and I'm just like, oh my god. So we talked about modifying the Ducks logo, right, and not reinventing the wheel. And I wish the Rams would take this advice because they redid it. And like we talked about classic jerseys and everything, I talked about USC and the red and the gold. Well, the Rams, right, the blue and the gold. In that same logo, the horn. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And it was funny, if you didn't catch it, Eric Dickerson was on the radio. I listened to him. I actually tweeted him and he retweeted my tweet about what he said. But he said basically, it's okay to freshen it up, but don't F it up. And I thought that was hilarious because that's exactly what I feel with the Ducks too, Eddie. If they come up with another jersey, as we talked about, rumored to be, is maybe modify it a little bit, but why reinvent the wheel? And I just kind of disappointed in my Rams because whether they did it or not, I mean, they have this logo that's the same type, very similar to the university, and I'm just disappointed. I wish they wouldn't have done that.
I liked it at first when I first saw it. It was just different. But then when you showed me that, I'm like, oh. And then the same color scheme, too. They just added it a little different. Like, shade it different a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's kind of bad. I'm not a Rams fan. I'm not a big football fan. I don't really like whatever with football, like hockey. But, yeah, it was bad. I know Eric Dickerson posted something, like a different logo. And I like that one a lot. That one looked really cool. And hopefully the Rams change it. But man... I mean, for the Ducks case, go ahead and copy your old jerseys. We all want that. Go ahead and plagiarize them. You know, I don't care about that. Those Mighty Ducks jerseys are cool. But for this case, someone dropped the ball. How do you not know? You have to know what you're doing. It seems to me it was intentionally a way to plagiarize them. Or I don't know if they reached out and wanted to use their concept. I have no idea. It just... But to even do that, like, come on, how do you not know you're designing it? And you can't tell me, oh, it was a coincidence. I did not know, because you just altered a little bit of the things, but kept out the color scheme and a little bit of the shadiness. It's too similar, and that was just they really literally dropped the ball, or what do you say, fumbled the ball.
No, that's a good point, and you know. This kind of reminds me, too, a little story, I guess, a little background. I don't know if I really talked about this on the air or whatnot, but when I came up with the Ducks and Pucks logo, it wasn't easy. I didn't just like go find a photo of a duck and go, okay, I'm going to make mine like that, because of exactly what's going on here with the Rams logo is what I was afraid of. So for those of you that don't know, when I came up with this logo, what I basically did is I found an artist that was recommended to me by a friend who actually did a lot of our t-shirts and whatnot. And I went out and got like 10 different duck images. And I pulled out different parts I liked and put them together as one. But the idea was it was not the same as any of the other ones. And it was hard. I mean, trust me, I did not want it to be similar to something else and get in trouble or called out for anything like that. So it was difficult because basically the bill was like from one image, the eye was from another, the fur was another, the teeth was from another. The eyebrows were not. I mean, it was put together by, I want to say, 8 to 10 different ducks out there. And then the part that made it the most unique was putting the puck in the mouth, which was actually my wife's idea. She came up with that. So, that was what we did when we said, okay, Ducks and Pucks. And then we thought, okay, we made the duck image. Originally, the first Ducks and Pucks image did not have the puck in the mouth. And so when we made it, it didn't look like any of the other ones. It was like a morph of a whole bunch of different ones. And then we were like, okay, but it's still not super unique. So then what we did is we looked at it. My wife's like, hey, put him chomping down on a puck in there. And there you go, duck and puck. And it was like perfect because there's nothing like that. We've seen people make similar things after I've done mine because I've had it for 6-7 years now, however long it's been. So it's not easy. And I think because I've had that experience is why I'm upset with the Rams, because I'm not a graphic guy. I can't draw. I mean, everybody knows that. I have to rely on other people to do things for me. I'm terrible. But I went to extra steps to do this, and I'm just, this little small guy running this little thing that we do. I'm not, the National Football League or NHL or whatever. And that's what disappoints me the most about it, is it feels like they paid a lot of money for someone to drop something that's the same as the university. And I just think it's disappointing. But I really applaud Eric Dickerson because he really went off on the show. And the Rams do listen to him. So I'm hoping that they figure this out and they do something a little better with that. So that,
Yeah, I was going to say, too, your Ducks and Bucks logo, it's so iconic. It's just that puck in the mouth, it gives it that extra push. It looks really awesome. I had Ronald Ray. I'm sorry
Ray.
if I pronounced your name wrong. Ray, yeah. He designed my logo for Denver Avs. He's really good. And I credit those people that can manipulate images or especially draw and create brand new images from scratch. I can barely draw a stick figure, so seeing them do that, it's just amazing. I know a few other graphic designers. EJ is one of them. He does really good work, and a few other of my friends that do it that offered to teach me some things. So hopefully we have some time now when they come over, they can. Thinking about maybe next season, Mike, we can have for alternate jersey games, have an alternate Ducks and Pucks logo.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned EJ too. I want to give him a shout out. He did help us too with some variations of the logo as well when we had different ones, for the podcast or the websites or whatever. So he was instrumental in helping us. Ronald's helped us too with different things as well. So, I want to give all of them, a shout out because they've helped us out. With different variations of this, and it's still changing. You can still go on thevolley.com and then just type in Ducks and Pucks and you can find the newest version. It's even changed since the beginning. There's more orange in the bill. Made the eye orange where the original one, the eye was red. So we kind of changed some things up a little bit and made it a little bit different, but I think it looks really, really good. So you can check that out. And you can also go to tpnhockey.com for all the other t-shirts as well. So check those out. I guess the last thing, just to really wrap up, kind of irritated me, Eddie, is what happened to our friends at K-Rock. I wasn't really happy with the fact that Kevin got let go, along with pretty much it sounded like everybody over there, and just disappointing. I'm a big K-Rock fan. I remember listening to Kevin and Bean in the very, very beginning when they started, and I think it's unfortunate. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. And, obviously people are struggling, having a hard time with different things. Everybody's got different situations out there. And I just don't think it's right. I mean, even if they were underperforming or whatever the reason is, I don't know. I'm not in that element. I don't know them that well enough. But I just think that's unfortunate. And the fact that it was done with a phone call, I just think it's bullshit. And the timing's awful and the manner in which it was done was awful. I just don't understand that, and I hate to end on that kind of note for the show, but I just want to, give them a shout out because I listened to Kevin Bean for years and they entertained me on K-Rock, and it's just unfortunate to see it go down that way.
Oh yeah, it was. When I woke up and saw that, I was shocked, especially with what's going on in today's society with the coronavirus thing and stuff, and then them to have security guards kind of escort him this guy gave you pretty much decades of his life, and that was, he was K-Rock. Him, Kevin and Bean, the whole morning show, they were K-Rock. I'd listen to them a lot too. They were it's just the way it went down was terrible, but you know what? Kevin's a really great personality, and so he's going to find success in anything he adventures and anything he does. He wants to come on Ducks and Pucks podcast and talk some hockey. He's more than welcome to. I think they're Kings fans, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
The Chip was told, yeah. But, so it's kind of not end it on that note. If you want to check out other radio stations, iHeartRadio, I forgot what station, but John Jay and Rich, they're funny. John Jay is this man. He just talks. He just says whatever's on his mind. He's so funny. I listened to him a lot when I was in Colorado. I think he's based out of Arizona, but you can find him on the iHeartRadio app. That's the one I would suggest to listen to. Another one is Real 92.3.
Yes.
It's a hip-hop station. I mean, I don't like listening to a lot of hip-hop because when I was working, and I heard it too much, and they play the same songs over, but listening to Big Boy in the morning.
Yeah, Big Boy!
And then our friend Louis G, who supports Ducks and Pucks, follows us, and he's a Ducks fan. But Big Boy, it's just him talking. He's been around forever, and he's one of those. To me, he's like an uncle. So when he talks, I listen, and he's not biased on anything. He'll give both arguments, whatever subject he talks about. He's really funny. Does his phone taps. He's just a really great, loving personality. Their whole crew is just doing amazing. I would suggest to listen to them too. And for those of you that want to listen to a little more R-rated stuff, Howard Stern. I know it's on Sirius XM.
Yes, I just got that. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think he has a podcast too, if I'm not mistaken. But Howard Stern, you guys know Howard Stern. I know people that don't like him still want to listen to him so they can talk crap about what he says or listen to what he's going to say. But that dude was kind of I guess he's a pioneer of just not giving zero, or he gave zero Fs. He said whatever he wanted, and I like that about someone. Maybe in today's society, not so much, but I think with everything's going on, people don't really care and are not going to be too offended because they're stuck at home. They want something entertaining, but that's another good one. So those are some other positive notes we can end on the show instead of the bad one. But Kevin, we love you. The rest of the crew, we love you, and we wish you the best of luck, whatever you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a good point. I used to go back and forth. It used to be Power 106 that I would listen to because that's where Big Boy was, right, if you remember, and then it was K-Rock. So, and they were right by each other, right? You had 105.9 and 106.7, so it was great. You didn't have to program anything hard. You could even tune it if you wanted to. It was easy. I used to go back between those two, and I'm with you. Now it's 92.3 The Beat. That's what I listen to all the time. Like you said, I love that show because, like you said, Big Boy's real on there. They have funny topics on there. Louis G likes us. So, I mean, you know, why wouldn't we like 92.3? But that's the regular radio station I listen to, yes. And then I just did get serious, too, and I started listening to Howard. Hilarious. I highly recommend him as well. As far as other podcasts, we mentioned it, too. Bieksa and Kessler's podcast, I listen to them. They're pretty hilarious. And then, of course, Spitting Chicklets, too. Obviously, you can't forget them. Eddie likes them, I think, more than I do. I mean, I like them, but I know Eddie really likes them. But that's another one.
Yeah,
you got to listen.
No filter.
Yes.
There's no filter at all. And that's what makes it the best.
Yes, exactly. So if you're looking for stuff like that and distractions like that, those are the things to look for. Like I said, you know, we wish everybody the best out there. Again, we mentioned it earlier in the show. If you have any kind of issue going on and you want to talk or you have a concern, you know, reach out to either one of us. We're more than happy to you know, talk about anything that's going on right now in the world. We're still planning to keep doing the show. Like we said, this show is awesome. This show is basically a show for you, the fans, because most of these topics on here were from you, the fans, other than really the beginning when we talked about the league updates and whatnot. So we're going to try and do another poll question again. I don't know how often we're going to do the show, maybe every week to 2 weeks. It just kind of depends on the events and the news that kind of comes out in the world. But we're going to keep on rolling, and we appreciate the support. And I'll just end it with that little phrase that we've talked about before, Eddie. Stay strong, stay safe, be kind, and love one another. And always, let's go Ducks.